In today's video, we're going to talk about an uncomfortable topic, but it is definitely one of the most asked. I'm talking about tearing during birth. Let's go into the video to know more. Hi Mama, welcome to this channel. My name is Ilenia and I'm a midwife with a passion for education and empowerment during your pregnancy, birth and postpartum journey. Today we're gonna really dive into the topic of tearing during birth. We're gonna go and see what is a tear and comparing with an episiotomy. And we're gonna see why it happens and where it happens. In order to do so, I'm gonna use the pelvis with this kind of green skin. Now we also need to use a bit of imagination just to explain you where the majority of tears happen. Most of the tears will happen in this little area that is called perineum, which is the layer of skin that it is between your bottom part of your vagina canal, and your anus. This part really supports a lot of our internal organs, such as the bladder, the uterus, the rectum and part of the bowel, and all the weight of the baby during pregnancy. So it is really an important part of our body that we don't mind enough, in my opinion. To give a little bit of anatomical basis, we have the coccyx here, the tailbone, coccyx with the tailbone, and the pubic bone here. Of course, you're not gonna see the bones immediately beneath your skin. You have layers of muscles and nerves to protect the pelvis and to support your organs, as I was saying before. What can happen during childbirth? Now, your vagina has a wonderful power to stretch and dilate in order to let the baby head, usually, and followed by the body, to come through without doing major damage. Sometimes, as the head comes down, I'm gonna show you with the baby. This little part, the perineum, as we were saying before, can be teared a little bit and damaged as the baby comes out like this. Sometimes it can be done also by the coming out of the shoulders, especially if the midwife puts a lot of pressure into it and doesn't let the shoulders restitute by themselves. Usually the major damage it's caused by the head and the structure of the skull. The majority of the tears, I was saying, happens usually in the perineum. However, it is not unheard of tears happening here in the labia or periurethral, meaning around the hole where you pass urine, basically. But again, the majority are usually here and going internally in your vaginal canal, posteriorly usually. This is because as the baby goes through, the vagina is not like a straight canal. It actually goes a little bit like this. So baby needs to, if you're pushing on your back, baby needs to go down and then up, and therefore puts a lot of pressure on that area. But we're going to talk about more about positions and how we can prevent tearing. This part of childbirth is also called the ring of fire because it's where you're gonna feel the most intense pressure happening down there. And the head is sitting there, and we say the head is crowning because the vagina and the vulva around really acts like a crown around your baby's head. However, tearing during childbirth is not even equivalent to like a normal tear or graze that you can have in whichever other part of your body. In fact, again, during labor and during birth, you are surrounded and supported by this beautiful cocktail of hormones made by oxytocin, endorphins, that really help you to don't feel the pain down there. You are so close to see your baby and to grab your baby and to hug your baby yourself that you really don't feel too much happening down there, but you're just overcome by this joy and by the actual end of the labor, that really your body works like an amazing machine to let you cope with this pain and this pressure that you're gonna feel as the baby comes out. There are 4 different classes of tear. We divide them in first degree tear, when the skin only is involved, second degree tear, when also the vaginal wall and the muscle beneath is starting to be involved, and then third and fourth degree tears, that are really the ones that you want to avoid, is where also the anal muscle and the anal mucosa are getting involved, and then you are talking about anal sphincter damage. Third and fourth degree tears are rare, are very rare. They do happen, but they're definitely less common than first and second degree tears that usually happen in a lot of births. We're talking about 70-80% of women that will have a second or a first degree tear, especially if in their first delivery. So it's something that we shouldn't really fear too much because it happens in so many women, and if it happens in so many births, it means that our vaginas are actually made to do it and made to heal very quickly and smoothly. In fact, when the muscle decides where to break and where to tear, it is probably the most convenient part of the muscle that will repair very easily and smoothly once maybe 1 or 2 stitches are there, or even if it's left by itself to heal by itself. Sometimes, in fact, you don't need to suture a tear, especially first degree tears, but even sometimes second degree tears, they do heal better if left alone and without sutures. Because our vaginas have like incredible healing properties, and they can heal back very quickly and without much troubles. So you can understand when a baby's head is putting a lot of pressure into this area, the tissues are given time to stretch and to distend. Therefore, we have this type of situation where the tissues stretch, there is a pause with the pause between the contractions, and then there is another stretch, and then the head comes out, usually without no damage or very minor damage. Another story instead is when we operators perform something called an episiotomy, which is really an artificial cut that is made with a particular type of scissors that does this type of thing. An episiotomy is definitely more likely to extend because you can understand that it's more easy to break and to extend than an intact perineum where the head is put in pressure and given time to distend again, like I was saying before. When do we need to do an episiotomy? The WHO recommends episiotomies to be done in 5 to 10% of all births, which are really the percentage of births that require to be expedited, just because baby maybe is suffering, or there is a lack of oxygen, or there is something that encourage the quicker birth of the baby. And therefore an episiotomy can be one of the ways how we can get the baby out a bit sooner. Sometimes episiotomies can be also done while doing an instrumental delivery, meaning by a kiwi cup, a ventus cup, or a forceps, just because the pressure of the instruments, and also to facilitate the reason of an instrumental delivery that sometimes is actually linked to fetal distress, then an episiotomy is usually performed. Other than that, episiotomy should be avoided and really limited to these two situations. However, I'm aware that even in Europe itself, there are places and countries where episiotomies are performed as routine, especially in first-time mothers, when really it is proven that a natural and a normal tear heals so much better and so much quicker. Imagine also our muscles and tissues are kind of made with these irregular borders that really facilitate the closure of the edges, while an episiotomy being a straight and clean cut, then it just takes a little bit longer to heal and requires a little bit more care. This is why you should really discuss about episiotomies and the rate of episiotomy in the place where you're gonna give birth, and really to consent for it if this comes to be your situation. It's all for this video, where we discussed about tearing, degrees of tears, and how this is compared to episiotomies. I'm gonna wait you in part 2, where we're gonna discuss how we can prevent tearing during pregnancy and even during birth. Leave me a comment, a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next video.